Kiss 107.1 is WTLZ Saginaw with Steve Harvey in the morning and simply the best R&B all day. Take us everywhere. Your smartphone, in your car, to work, or live at KissWTLZ.com. We're Kiss 107.1.
Community connection. It's time for community connections. It's time for community connection.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with a harmony, liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the living God, make resound loud as the rolling.
Good afternoon. It's Vicki Hill, and I'm doing Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People. I'm sitting in for Miss Joyce Harvin today. Today, I'm going to be talking about the original stage play, The Family Car. And I wanted to get some more information on this play, just to let the audience know what a great play this is going to be and where it's going to be, and the fact that it is absolutely free. So today with me, I have two of the cast members. I have Daniel Brown, and I have Miss Nicole Mays. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome to Kiss 107.
Thank you for having
You
us.
are welcome. So we're going to dive right in because this original stage play is coming up, and it's coming up next Saturday, in which the date is May the 27th at 4 p.m. It's going to be held at the Temple Theater, which is located on Washington Street. So you both play great roles in this play. But first of all, I'm going to ask you, just tell me a little bit about what this play is all about.
Well, it's about a mother who has lost a daughter to suicide. That was dealing with different things as we sometimes deal with life situations, about the mother really dealing with the grief part and trying to get through the whole process.
Okay, so we're dealing with suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anything else you want to add, Daniel?
Mental awareness.
Mental awareness.
It's okay to seek help,
Okay,
ask for help,
okay,
and it shines a light, especially in the Black community, that help is out there, that's available, and it's okay to ask for help.
all right. So May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month, is it not?
Okay.
Yes. So this is perfect. It came at a perfect time, doing something about mental health. And as you said, Daniel, it is very okay for us to acknowledge that there is something wrong with us.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes people find that they're afraid to let folks know what's actually going on with them.
Mhm.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So because there's been such a stigma when it comes to mental health and when it comes to suicide, especially mental health, they will say, back in the day, they would say, oh, they're just crazy. Just look
Right.
over them.
Right.
They
Right.
ain't got it all. They're just
Right.
loony, or they'll make some kind of sign with their
Yeah.
fingers. Do you
Yeah,
remember
I
that?
remember
Yeah.
that.
People
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just a little cuckoo,
Yeah.
things like that. So I think when things like that begin to happen, it made people withdraw,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
they withdraw within themselves. Am I right? Do you think
Yes,
that?
Absolutely.
Yes. You said something that was very key. People saying that, oh, they're just this, don't pay no attention to them. When really the opposite thing should be happening. We
Absolutely.
should start paying more attention
Absolutely.
and not taking for granted that people are dealing with everyday life. We all do,
Absolutely.
but some people deal with it in a different way. And we need to pay attention to maybe tell that person or try to get help or ask them,
Mm-hmm.
was the problem.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. That became more of a problem
Mhm.
and very problematic because of things that are happening in today's society, right?
Right.
Because people weren't allowed to actually express how they were feeling, when it came to the things that they were dealing with.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes, even as kids, I remember as a young kid, you would hear the older people say, look, go and sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Right.
You just need a whooping.
Right.
Ain't
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you. Go
Yeah.
sit down
That's
somewhere.
it.
And that's not the way to handle it, right?
Right. Right.
Because apparently there was something wrong. And when you don't acknowledge that there is a problem
Yes.
and that there is something wrong with that person,
Yes.
they grow up and they
Absolutely.
begin to just think, well, I can't say anything about it.
Yeah.
People are
Mhm.
going to think this or that about me. Am I right?
You're right. I think
Right.
people get to that point where they put a mask on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And, I may be smiling on the outside, but
Mhm.
inside I'm really dealing with something.
Yeah.
I think everybody's always dealing with something.
Yeah.
So we have to get used to asking, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
And mean it with good intentions, not to be nosy or pride,
Absolutely.
just to know how are you doing internally.
Absolutely.
And I think if people get used to hearing that and being okay to express themselves and knowing that the word is trusted, then it'll make mental health more easy to talk about and deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Daniel said about dealing with some. I always tell the clients that I work with, if you don't deal, you don't heal.
Right.
Mhm.
You can keep saying I'm okay, or this, but if you don't deal with it, you take other means by dealing
Absolutely.
or coping,
Right.
and those are not the healthy ways to do
Not the healthy ways
Mhm.
at all. Absolutely. You got to deal what's going on with you. And I understand that it's hard for a person.
it.
Mhm.
It's hard for a person to actually reach out and get help.
Right.
And it's because of the stigma that's been put
Absolutely.
on this.
Mhm.
So it's hard for them to go and say, well, I need to see a therapist. And let's just take it a little step further than that. In the Black culture, we didn't do that.
Oh no.
There was no thing. What do you mean you need to ask for help?
Right.
Mama said go over there and sit down.
That's
Right. Keep it in house.
Yeah.
Mama said keep it in the house. What goes
Yes.
on in the house?
Stays in the house.
You know it. You know it. You know that's how we were
Yeah.
brought up. So as a child and you brought up and you're told these kind of things, you continue that as an adult, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Even though people might say, well, hey, there's some help over here. Here's a phone number for you to call.
Yeah.
Internally, we've been taught
Yeah.
as children, we don't talk about
Right.
this.
Almost
Right.
programmed. It's like it's
Yeah.
taboo. Like if I say something, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the last thing any kid wants is to go
Get in
tell
trouble.
someone to get
Yeah.
in trouble when you get home.
Absolutely.
And some things need to be shared. You
Some
never
things,
know.
absolutely. Some things really need to be shared. I
Right.
think, and I won't necessarily say our parents were completely wrong. It was the way they were taught.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
So the way they
yeah.
were taught, then they began to teach their
That's what
children
they
the
gave.
same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, back in the old days, even if you think about medications nowadays, we're on some of everything.
Right.
Back then,
They
they
didn't
didn't have all that
yeah.
stuff,
Right.
and they were fine.
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, so they were taught one way, and they began to teach
Right.
their children those
Right.
ways that they knew of.
Yeah.
So
Cycle.
then it became this big thing. Well, mental health. What do we do about it?
Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, it's a cycle. It's definitely a generational cycle.
It is.
And at some point, why not today, right?
Why not?
We have
today?
to stop that cycle.
Absolutely.
And let our children know it's okay
Yeah.
to speak to someone. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with it. And then we got to get that stigma of talking to someone means you're crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one for me.
That is.
I remember personally when I went through that, I was scared to talk to someone because I didn't want to feel like I was going crazy.
Mhm.
And I knew I wasn't crazy,
Yeah.
but the fact that I got to talk to somebody, I must be crazy.
Yeah.
So we have to break that stigma, that stereotype, I think is the word, right?
We really do.
You're not crazy. It's okay to not be okay.
That's right.
And it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is.
And then I think sometimes it's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment.
Yes.
It's embarrassing for me to tell you, hey, I'm so depressed I can't get out of bed
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this way and that way, and I don't know what to do.
Right.
Then I start to think, now you're looking at me in a different
Yes.
light.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I don't want you to look at me like that.
Right.
I could be one of the high officials in the city.
Mhm.
I could be a high official in the church. But if I told you that, then how do you look at me?
You
Right.
look at a person different, or sometimes, you know what? Sometimes it's not even that it can be both ways.
Yeah.
Some people can look at you different,
Yeah,
but then it can be you just thinking that you're gonna look at me different.
absolutely.
Because not knowing that, especially today, we all go through so much.
Absolutely.
And a lot of things we don't know how to handle at that point in time. And things, we were talking about that earlier, how even from a child, you suppress things and just keep just going over it. I've been that one to do that, go through so many things in life. Oh, I'm okay. You know, God got me through it and I'm okay. And I still really haven't dealt with it.
Right.
You know, and you just keep jumping over it until a point of time comes and it's like you start feeling some kind of way. You can't deal with this. You don't know what to do about this. Then you're crying about this and you just don't understand. You have taken everything that you've come through and you just suppress it. I'm okay. I don't need nobody to talk to me. I don't need nobody. I'm okay. You want to be the strong one when inside you falling apart.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
And some people go to the extreme to life just don't matter no more. Why am I here if I have to keep going through this?
Right.
So then we go to suicide.
Absolutely.
We go to drugs. We go.
Absolutely.
There's just so many different ways, and those are the unhealthy ways because you didn't feel like you should talk to somebody.
Absolutely. And you said something there. You know, you start to say, "I'm okay. I'm okay." And then sometimes you'll say, "Well, I'll just pray about it." It's okay to pray.
Absolutely.
Love to pray.
Yeah.
Love the Lord.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
absolutely. But there comes a time that I need more than prayer.
Yeah.
There comes a time that I've got to, you can't pray everything away.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
But this is life. And we're talking real life here.
Right.
And we're talking about people with circumstances where they're going through mental crisis.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very evident today, if not, it's more today that is more evident than maybe it was back then because we weren't letting anybody know what was happening with us. But today it has showed up.
Yes.
And it showed up in all kinds of ways.
Absolutely.
And these ways are devastating to a lot of people. So when I think about mental health, and I think about sometimes people go through all these different mental health crises. And what do you say to them? What do we say?
When they're going through a crisis, what do we say?
Yes.
It's okay. And sometimes you got to relate to them.
Yeah.
Like I've been there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you don't have the answer. Is someone has to be able to have the courage to say it's okay to go get help.
It's okay to get help.
That's the part, because we tend to shun people away.
Yes.
And then you go to someone say, "Hey, girl, da, 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 da."
Yes.
And sometimes that's not the cure or the
Absolutely.
medicine. Sometimes you gotta be that person to say, you know, I don't have all the answers.
Yes.
Listen.
I'm just listen. That's a good. Just listen.
Yeah.
And if I can't, because I mean, I talk about all the time. Some people can only carry so much,
Yeah.
That's right.
and sometimes some of us can be used as dumping grounds.
That's true.
But if you're not able to withstand any more of anybody else's energy, sometimes it's best to say, "Hey, man, you probably need to go get help."
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's
I know
okay.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I've done it, or just I learned that people will open up to you when they feel like you understand.
Absolutely.
If you can relate to some of the things just a little bit,
Just
just
a
to open
little
up
bit.
the door
Mhm.
and say, "Hey, I get it." You know what I'm saying? If they feel like that they have somebody that, hey, they really do understand me, and if I can open up that door, now we talking, and I can give you some advice. Hey, it's okay to talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Right.
And even if they're comfortable enough just for you to listen.
Yes.
I tell clients, I always relate to this, that I say, there's so many therapeutic ways that we don't even pay attention to.
Right. Right.
Wow.
Dumping.
Right.
Yeah.
Get a notebook.
Right.
Get your journal.
Absolutely.
Right. It doesn't matter what you're feeling in that day. Track your thoughts. Track your days.
Mhm.
Sometimes your days may be good. Sometimes it may be bad, but you can go back and track what you felt today, and today may be a better day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you can get these thoughts out of your brain,
Sure.
down on paper, and look at those things, you still finding a way of release.
Yes, I am a firm believer in that. Sometimes when you're stressed,
Yes.
when you're feeling all that stress up on you,
Yes.
if you can put pen to paper
Yes.
and just write down what you're feeling,
Absolutely.
it helps. It
Yeah.
helps relieve some of that stress off of you. There was a time I didn't think that was true.
Yeah.
And then I started doing that. And I'm like, well, you know what? This is really working for me. Not only that, sometimes you can pull out some good old music.
Yes.
And you can listen to music even when you're putting that pen to paper.
Yeah.
I remember I did that. I did that when my father passed. I put pen to paper and I was listening to music. I thought I was just going to write a couple of lines. Oh no, I continued to write. I had pages and pages because there were things I was suppressing
Yeah.
that I was holding back, and I didn't realize it until I actually started doing that. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you're holding things back. So, all right. So yes, and that's what I wanted to say about holding things back and suppressing um about this. Did you want to say something?
Well, I suffer from depression and as well. And I'm under therapist care, and one of the therapeutic things that helps me is I tend to talk out loud to myself. I don't always have time to write everything out, but if I listen to myself back to myself, I get through certain things and whatnot. And I'm on the medication now that the therapist has me on, so that's helping a bit. But I recognize it, and I always applaud any Black man, particularly, not just Black women, but Black men in particular, who keep this sort of thing tied up inside, because we're all raised to be strong people.
Absolutely.
And it's, but I just, I talk to myself all the time. They say, well, people talk to themselves are crazy, but I think people talk to themselves are intelligent because we hear ourselves.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if I'm going through something that I'm stressed out, then okay, fine. Or I share with someone who I can trust,
Absolutely.
And I think you and I have talked, and Dante and I have talked and whatnot. So, it helps that way. And then I can go back and I regurgitate everything I've been told, and process it, And so I have kind of a gift of discernment to say, okay, I can use this, I can't use that, and I'm better for it.
Yeah, and Rob, you said something there, because from a man's perspective, you guys are taught to be strong, not to show you any feelings, no emotions, So I feel that it would probably be a little harder for you to go to somebody and say, well, hey, this is what's really going on with me, because of that fear of people looking at you as being weak.
And the misperception is that a person who's perceived as strong, I'm perceived as being strong.
Yeah,
we actually have problems too,
Absolutely.
And people understand that's a stereotype for that sort of thing. I look at this brother here, he looks like a strong brother, but I don't know what's going on inside his head, what he deals with. Even if he's a positive person outside, I don't know what he deals with when he's not in front of me.
Right, absolutely. And I'm going to take it to the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, we couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
We couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
We were kind of like secluded in our own homes. You went out to the grocery store, but you were afraid to do that, right? We were afraid to do anything because so much was happening. So imagine everybody that's sitting in their home who are already having some mental challenges. Imagine that. So what do you think happened at that point?
You're forced to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like anything that you were running away from, when you're secluded to that space, now you have to deal with it.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people probably, they either dealt with it or they crashed.
That's it.
And I know I had I had to deal with it. And I just thank God for my wife, because that was the most I ever deal with my pain and my hurt and my suffering all at one time. That was hard.
Yes.
And now, like we were saying, that most men are taught not to cry and be
Absolutely.
emotional.
That's
my wife
right.
would tell you, I cried so much. It would just be random. But crying is part of the process.
Yes, it is.
Crying is part of the process. And I know when I started to let that out, I was able to deal with my emotions. I started healing differently. I started feeling differently. But I had to release that, because men, because we're taught to be tough, we hold everything in. And we ain't gonna let our friends see us cry.
Absolutely
I'm not gonna give you no reason to talk about me and my family. Just ain't gonna do it. But being able to do that, and then being able to do that around someone that made me feel comfortable. Made it so much easier.
Yes.
So I mean, as men, we gotta, it's okay. It's okay to cry.
It is.
Let it out.
Let it out.
Get your private place and just let it go.
That's right. So when we were stuck in our homes, they either dealt with it or they crashed. And sometimes it made it worse. It made it worse. So then now we're going to talk about the family car, the significance of that family car.
Okay.
You got that.
Oh, I thought you had. But okay. That stigma again of not just kind of overlooking things. If I can say this as the mother, I got something personally from it as a mother.
And as you're saying, as a mother, I want everybody to know that Nicole plays the mother in this play, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us just a little bit about the role and go ahead with your.
Okay, well, I played the mother of Rosalind, who has a teenage daughter that has been dealing with rejection, dealing with, I think, more or less insecurities and feeling like she wasn't good enough for this, or somewhere in there being lost in finding love, what she thinks is love. Not really paying attention as a mother, thinking that, okay, oh, you're going to be okay. You know, you got to do this, giving little instructions and not really paying attention. One of the things is, are you listening? You know, back and forth, you know, but I know you hear me, but are you listening?
Right.
You know, and sometimes as parents, sometimes as friends, sometimes as even pastors or whoever it is that you're close to, we hear people, but we're not listening.
But we're really not listening.
You know what I'm saying? And you're not paying attention to those little things that are really showing you something is wrong. What can we do about this? Not just let it go and it's just like, oh, you'll be okay. You know, like we were saying earlier, pray about it, or you got to do this. And then to find out later that it's like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? You didn't pay attention.
You didn't listen.
So in this, even in that, the mother role that I take on, just dealing with those situations, like I have my own daughter. She's 26 years old, and my thing with her is like, well, she's good. You know, she's working, she's doing this, and she's independent, and she's a free spirit, loving, but there's been some hurt. And sometimes even during this play, it's caused me to look at some things different. You know, not just go over it. This, not that, no, I asked her, are you okay? You know, and she like, Mom, I'm okay. You know, but then she's starting to talk about some things. Not, you know, she like, no, I don't want to, you know, do anything to myself or hurt myself. It's just that some things that I do deal with. You know, people that have hurt me, her feelings been hurt about different things. So she's helped people. And I've watched some of these things because she don't cry a lot. You know, and I told her, I said, you know, sometimes that's not a good thing.
Right. Absolutely.
That's another release.
Absolutely.
You know,
and got to let it out.
It's fine to do that, but in this role, I found some healing for myself. And some letting go. You know, letting her be.
And that's important. That is important, that you can find healing, you know, for yourself, even if you're playing a role such as you're playing right now, because I realize that's got to be pretty tough. And then Daniel, you're playing a therapist. Now tell me a little bit about you playing a therapist in this play.
Oh, it was a hard role. It was definitely a tough one, because I had to be something that that I'm not. I'm not a therapist in real life. But taking on this role, I had to start like listening to therapy books and reading just to see what a therapist deals with, you know, clients on a daily basis. And I got to this point in my life where I ask people a lot, like, how you doing? And when people talk, I just listen. And I'm just looking just to, I've learned that a therapist they're not there to just give you answers. But they're like a guide to help you, because sometimes the answer be right there in front of your face of what you deal with. A therapist will guide you down that path. Sometimes you can't see it because you're dealing with so much. So I had to understand that sometimes, like we were saying, it's just good to listen.
It is.
And that's what therapist's main job is, just to listen. And as you begin to word vomit, things start coming to you. But sometimes it's good to word vomit that to someone else. And they can help you. Oh, now that clicked. Oh, and I can understand. I see it now, because you're saying it out loud to someone. So the therapist role has definitely changed. I'm a little bit more helpful verbally with people now. So I enjoyed it. It's been a blessing playing this role. It took me out of my comfort zone.
Out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
That's good. This play, I believe, is going to help. It's going to heal a lot of people. It's happening on May the 27th at 4 at the Dow Event Center. It's absolutely free. Any and everybody can come. And it's just going to be good. At the Temple. What did I say?
The Dow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not at the Dow. Nope. Scratch that. It's going to be at the Temple Theater. So Temple Theater, May 27th at 4 p.m. It's going to be a great play. And you know what? There's been a lot of scenes. And if you're on Facebook and you're looking around Facebook, you know, we see the family car, which is a big stretch limo, right? And there are several people that are doing interviews. And it's if you pay attention, when they get into that family car, they begin to talk about mental health. It's really good. I love the way it was put together. Leisha Wright Tatum.
Yes.
This is her original stage play.
Yes.
Her two co-writers are Twani Gray and Ariel Pompey. They have done an amazing job of putting this play together.
Yes.
We want everybody to come down to the Temple Theater on May 27th at 4 p.m. and see this play. It's free, like I told you. In fact, Twani, I believe, took you to his office, right?
Yes.
And gave you some advice because Twani is a therapist, correct?
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so anything that can help you in your role. So mental health is very important. Everybody wants to be healthy, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
We just want everybody to come on out. Once again, May the 27th at 4 p.m. at the Temple Theater.
Yes.
Temple Theater is going to be a great day. Any last words, guys?
I got nothing. Just come out and see the show. Have a good time.
Yes.
It's definitely going to be worth it. It's going to help a lot of people, like you said. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
And if you don't feel like you need it, maybe somebody else. Will. So bring them out. You come out, and because a lot of times people go through situations and they need somebody there to help them.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, there's always somebody, even if it's not yourself, as you said.
Mhm.
You may know somebody. And sometimes I've come across the fact, sometimes people that I've known for a very long time, I had no clue that they were even suffering with anything like that. And
It's
then
like
to
that.
find out, it's like, wow, why didn't I see this?
Right. You don't want to be the person to say, I just seen them last week.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
you never asked them how they were doing. That we do that.
Right.
We do. We do. But
Post on people, don't ask how they doing.
Absolutely. And then there again, if they don't actually tell you and you miss it, it could be some very little hints that they may have given out, but you missed it because you thought they were okay. They've always been okay.
Yes.
How could you not be okay?
Strong person.
Yeah, you've always been strong.
Yeah.
You've always been that strong person for everybody. But even the strongest people have problems, right?
Yes.
Even the strongest people have things that they need to go through and have gone through it, and sometimes can't figure out how to handle it.
That's it.
And that's when you search for the resources, the help that you need.
Yes.
There are resources out there everywhere. But, we've got to stop being in denial and find that resource.
Absolutely.
And talk to somebody that will actually listen.
Yes.
That's the word.
That's it.
Not just hear, but listen to really what I'm trying to say without saying it.
Right.
Because when you don't listen to a person and they feel like they have no way out, sometimes that marries into suicide.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to untangle those two because they marry together in more ways than none and more times than none. And we don't want people to get to that point. We want to pay attention to whatever signs. We want to listen. We want to talk to them. We want to guide them in the right direction in which way to go.
Right.
There is help out there, people. There's help out there.
Yes.
There is help. There is help out there for everyone, but you've got to reach out.
Absolutely.
Let go of what people used to say in the old days.
Right.
Let's get rid of the stigma.
Yes.
You're not crazy.
Yes.
There is a lot of people that are still holding on to things, people that are suppressing things within themselves that need to let that go. Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I say this last
Absolutely, you can.
thing? One of the things that I remember, one of the other characters, which is my best friend, it takes strength to be vulnerable.
It does.
Instead of thinking you're weak, it's strong.
It
To
does.
be open and be okay to say, hey, I need help.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
It's
powerful.
very powerful to say, I'm going through something today. I just need somebody to talk to and to listen to me
Yes.
and help me find that help that I need.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys being here today.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
has been
Yes.
a great interview.
Yes.
And once again, I'm inviting everyone that's looking on who are listening. It's going to be at the Temple Theater
Mhm.
on May the 27th at 4 p.m.
Yes.
It's absolutely free. You can get those tickets right at the Temple.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
go right down to the Temple Theater and get tickets, or you can call Women of Color's office or go there to the office, which is in Success Academy, and you can pick those tickets up. So you guys did a great job. I'm so glad to have talked with you today. Thank you for
Thank you for having
sharing
us.
your insight. I appreciate it so much. And then as I'm closing out, I do want to remind everybody of the Men's Health Fair, which is going to be June the 3rd, and it's going to be at the Dow Event Center.
Okay.
That's where I got that from. It's going to be at the Dow Event Center from 10 to 2. All right. So thank you so very much. I appreciate you, Rob. Thank you for sharing your feed in on the mental health. But that was huge too.
Yeah.
Just to be able to tell folks that you are going through something and you're on medication. That's huge.
I've always done that because I believe in that sort of thing. Because my childhood and extended forward and whatnot, and there's been many times I come close. As a matter of fact, I credit my ability to not take my life to the fact I love my son.
There you go.
I grew up without a father, and I could not do that to him. Even though he's 27 years old, I could not be unfair to him. It's not about me in this case because I love my son the way I do.
Absolutely.
And I said, well, you know what? It's a stigma for Black men not to do anything, and we perceive us being strong. And so people are surprised when they say, Rob, you always seem like, strong. You got your stuff together. I do to a point, but I have things going on in my life.
Absolutely.
And it's important to share that. And I learned years ago there was a lot of Black men who don't do it. And because I was raised around Black men, I knew, okay, I need to be a part of a solution, not the problem, and go ahead and admit this sort of thing and be shameless about it,
Yes.
So.
Thank you so very much. Well, you know what? You've been listening to Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People. I'm Vicki Hill, and I'm sitting in for Joyce Harvin today. And her show is sponsored by the Saginaw branch of the NAACP. Thank you so very much.
My heart's on fire. Come on and take me up. Be what you make me, my darling, my sweet.
You're listening to Community Connections with Joyce Harvin on KISS 107.1.
It's May Trade Days at Showcase Mitsubishi Bay City. And there's never been a better time to trade and upgrade for less. Right now,